In the vast library of human history, some books are lost, only to be found again, their voices echoing across millennia. The Book of Enoch is one such text. It is an ancient work, attributed to Enoch, the great-grandfather of Noah, a man so righteous the Bible tells us he walked with God and was taken from this world without tasting death. Though it is not part of the official biblical canon for most Christian traditions, its influence is undeniable. It was cherished by early Christians and even quoted directly in the New Testament book of Jude. This book offers a unique window into the cosmic drama unfolding between heaven and earth, filled with visions and prophecies that feel strangely familiar in our modern age. The Book of Enoch speaks of angels and giants, of forbidden knowledge and divine judgment, but beyond these fantastical elements, it carries a profound message about righteousness, justice, and the ultimate triumph of good over evil. It paints a picture of a world spiraling into chaos, much like our own, yet it never loses sight of the hope for redemption and restoration. The prophecies contained within its pages are not just relics of a bygone era. They are living words that seem to speak directly to the challenges and anxieties of the 21st century, offering a framework for understanding the turbulent times we live in and the future that may lie ahead. As we journey through these ancient prophecies, we will explore 7 key themes that seem to be unfolding right before our eyes. We will look at Enoch's visions of the Lord's return, the great spiritual decline, the explosion of dangerous knowledge, and the dual judgments of water and fire. We will also examine the promise of a coming kingdom, the revelation of God's hidden faithful, and the ultimate purification of the world. By placing these prophecies alongside familiar biblical passages and connecting them to the world around us, we can begin to see the threads that tie the ancient past to our present reality. This exploration is not about fear or predicting the exact date of future events. Instead, it is an invitation to listen to the whispers of an ancient prophet. It is a chance to see our world through a different lens, to recognize the timeless patterns of human behavior and divine intervention. The story of Enoch is a reminder that even in the darkest of times there is a grander narrative at play. It is a story that began long ago, continues today, and points toward a future filled with both solemn warnings and incredible hope for all of humanity. One of the most powerful prophecies in the Book of Enoch describes the triumphant return of the Lord. In the very first chapter, Enoch declares, "Behold, he comes with thousands of his holy ones to execute judgment upon all." This is a vision of immense power and finality. It is not a quiet or subtle event, but a cosmic arrival meant for all to witness. Enoch foresees a day when the divine will intervene directly in human affairs, to hold the wicked accountable, and to rectify all injustices. This prophecy sets the stage for everything else, establishing the ultimate authority and sovereignty of the Creator over His creation, a day when every action and every word will be brought into the light for judgment. This ancient vision finds a direct echo in the New Testament. The Apostle Jude quoted this very passage from Enoch, almost word for word, in his letter. In Jude chapter 1 verses 14 and 15, he writes about the Lord coming with 10,000s of His holy ones to execute judgment on all. The book of Revelation paints a similar awe-inspiring picture, describing the armies of heaven following Jesus on white horses to establish justice. Even the Apostle Paul speaks of the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ with all His saints in his letter to the Thessalonians. This consistent theme across different sacred texts underscores a core belief. History is not aimless but is moving toward a definitive and glorious conclusion. When we look at our world today, we see signs that many interpret as precursors to this great event. Jesus himself said in Matthew chapter 24 that the end times would be marked by wars, rumors of wars, famines, and earthquakes. We turn on the news and see global conflicts simmering, nations in turmoil, and natural disasters striking with increasing frequency and intensity. The moral and spiritual landscape often seems fractured, with a pervasive sense of anxiety and uncertainty about the future. For many believers, these events are not random occurrences but are the birth pains Jesus spoke of, signaling that a new era is drawing near, just as Enoch prophesied thousands of years ago. The prophecy of the Lord's return is therefore not just an ancient prediction, it is a living hope and a solemn warning. It serves as a reminder that our actions have eternal significance, and that justice, though it may seem delayed, will ultimately prevail. it encourages the faithful to live with purpose and integrity, knowing that the story of humanity is not destined to end in chaos but with a divine and glorious intervention. This prophecy invites us to look beyond the immediate headlines and see the hand of a sovereign God guiding history toward its ultimate and magnificent fulfillment, bringing a sense of profound meaning to our present struggles. Enoch also foresaw a period of profound spiritual decline, a time when humanity would turn away from the path of wisdom and righteousness. He prophesied a generation where the hearts of the righteous will turn away from wisdom and sinners will multiply. This is a vision of a great apostasy, a widespread rebellion against divine truth. Enoch describes a time when truth itself would become obscured, when the love for God would grow cold, and when society would drift further and further from its moral and spiritual foundations. It is a chilling prediction of a world losing its way, choosing darkness over light and confusion over clarity, a trend that would accelerate in the last days. This theme of a great falling away is a significant warning in the New Testament as well. The Apostle Paul, in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 verse 3, explicitly states that the day of the Lord will not come unless the rebellion comes first. The Greek word he uses is apostasia, meaning a defection or falling away from the faith. He also warns Timothy that in the latter times, some will depart from the faith. Jesus himself spoke of this, saying in Matthew chapter 24 that because of the increase of wickedness, the love of many will grow cold. This is not just about a few individuals straying, but a large-scale cultural shift away from genuine faith toward indifference or outright opposition. Looking at the modern world, it is not difficult to see reflections of this prophecy. In many Western nations, once the heartland of Christianity, church attendance has plummeted. Beautiful, historic cathedrals now stand as museums, cafes, or even nightclubs, their original purpose forgotten. There is a growing movement of people who identify as having no religion, and a cultural climate that often views traditional faith as outdated or even harmful. The rise of relativism, where truth is seen as subjective, aligns with Enoch's vision of a time when truth itself would be obscured. This spiritual vacuum is often filled with the worship of self, success, and materialism, fulfilling the biblical description of those who trade the glory of God for a lesser substitute. This prophecy of a great apostasy serves as a critical wake-up call. It challenges believers to examine the state of their own hearts, and to hold fast to their convictions in a world that is increasingly adrift. It is a reminder that faith is not something to be taken for granted, but must be actively nurtured and defended. Enoch's vision, echoed by the apostles, encourages a return to foundational truths and a genuine, heartfelt devotion rather than a lukewarm or superficial faith. It is a call to be a light in the growing darkness, to stand firm in the face of cultural pressure, and to preserve the sacred truths for the generations to come. Perhaps one of the most famous and intriguing parts of the Book of Enoch is the story of the Watchers. These were celestial beings, or angels, who abandoned their heavenly station and descended to earth. According to Enoch, they taught humanity forbidden knowledge, secrets of the cosmos that mankind was not yet ready for. They revealed the arts of sorcery, weapon-making, astrology, and other esoteric crafts. This infusion of advanced but unsanctioned knowledge did not lead to enlightenment. Instead, it unleashed chaos, violence, and corruption upon the world, contributing to the wickedness that prompted Noah's flood. It was a case of knowledge without wisdom, power without righteousness. This strange story finds its roots in the mysterious passage of Genesis chapter 6 verse 4, which mentions the sons of God and the Nephilim, who were on the earth in those days. The Book of Enoch provides a detailed backstory for this brief mention. The theme of a dangerous increase in knowledge also appears in biblical prophecy. The prophet Daniel was told that in the end times, knowledge shall be increased. While this can refer to a positive understanding of God's plan, it can also imply a technological and intellectual explosion that outpaces humanity's moral capacity to handle it. Jesus warned that the end times would be like the days of Noah, a direct reference to the very period Enoch describes in such vivid detail. When we consider our modern era, the parallels are striking. We live in an age of unprecedented technological advancement. Knowledge is increasing at an exponential rate. We have unlocked the secrets of the atom, leading to both clean energy and devastating weapons. We are manipulating the very building blocks of life through genetic engineering like CRISPR. The rise of artificial intelligence and quantum computing promises to reshape our world in ways we can barely imagine. Just like the forbidden knowledge of the Watchers, these powerful tools hold the potential for incredible good, but also for unimaginable destruction if wielded without wisdom, ethics, and a strong moral compass. The story of the Watchers, therefore, serves as a timeless cautionary tale. It warns us that knowledge and power are not virtues in themselves. Without a corresponding growth in wisdom, humility, and reverence for life, our greatest achievements can become our greatest threats. Enoch's prophecy challenges us to question the relentless pursuit of progress for its own sake, and to consider the ethical and spiritual implications of the knowledge we uncover. It is a reminder that true advancement is not just about what we can do, but about what we should do, and that the most important knowledge is not what is hidden in the stars, but what is written on the human heart. Enoch's prophecies speak of a world that would face divine judgment not once, but twice. His writings are set in the era before the Great Flood, and he vividly describes the coming judgment by water that would cleanse the earth of the violence and corruption spawned by the Watchers and wicked humanity. This was a cataclysmic event, a total reset for a world that had gone terribly astray. However, the Book of Enoch, along with biblical scripture, suggests that this first judgment was only a foreshadowing of a second final judgment that is yet to come. This time, the instrument of judgment will not be water, but fire. This twofold judgment is made explicitly clear in the New Testament. The Apostle Peter, in his second letter, writes that the world of that time was deluged with water and perished, but he goes on to say that by the same word, the heavens and earth that now exist are stored up for fire. This prophecy of a future judgment by fire is a recurring theme. The prophet Isaiah speaks of the Lord coming with fire to render his anger, and Malachi describes the day of the Lord as burning like an oven. The book of Hebrews goes so far as to state that our God is a consuming fire, indicating that this fiery judgment is an expression of his absolute holiness and purity. In our modern world, the imagery of fire has taken on a new and honestly, pretty ominous relevance. We are witnessing a global climate crisis, with record-breaking heat waves and catastrophic wildfires raging across continents, from Australia to California, from the Amazon to Siberia. These literal fires serve as a powerful and visceral symbol of the prophesied fiery judgment. Beyond the literal, we also see the fires of global conflict, political division, and social unrest burning hotter than ever before. The world often feels like a tinderbox, with tensions rising and the threat of nuclear conflict, a man-made fire of ultimate destruction, always looming in the background. These signs can be seen as echoes or warnings of the final purification to come. The prophecy of judgment by water and fire is a sobering reminder of divine justice and the seriousness of sin. The first judgment by water shows that God is willing to take drastic measures to cleanse his creation. The second, by fire, points to a final and complete purification. This is not meant to be a message of pure terror, but really a call to repentance and righteousness. It urges humanity to turn back to God before the final judgment arrives. It reinforces the idea that the current state of the world is not permanent, and that a day of accounting is coming when all that is corruptible will be burned away, leaving only what is pure and eternal. Amidst the dire warnings of judgment and apostasy, the Book of Enoch shines a brilliant light of hope with its prophecy of a coming ruler, the elect one. This chosen figure, also referred to as the Son of Man, is destined to establish an eternal kingdom of perfect justice, peace, and righteousness. Enoch describes him sitting on a throne of glory, judging the world and vindicating the righteous who have suffered. This is not a temporary political solution, but a divine and everlasting reign that will transform the earth itself. It is the ultimate answer to all the chaos and corruption that has plagued human history, the final victory of good over evil. This prophecy of the elect one aligns perfectly with the messianic prophecies found throughout the Bible. The prophet Isaiah foretold a ruler whose government and peace there will be no end, who would reign on David's throne forever. The title Son of Man, used frequently in Enoch, is the very same title Jesus used to refer to himself. In the Gospel of Matthew, Jesus speaks of the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. The Apostle Paul, in his letter to the Philippians, declares that one day every knee will bow and every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, acknowledging his supreme authority as the prophesied King. The promise of this unshakable kingdom offers profound hope in a world that feels increasingly unstable. Our human institutions are fragile, Governments rise and fall, economies collapse, and cultures change. We live with the constant uncertainty of political strife, social upheaval, and the threat of war. The world's systems seem incapable of delivering lasting peace or true justice. In this context, the prophecy of the elect one's kingdom is not just a distant dream, but a powerful anchor for the soul. It is the belief that a perfect government is coming, one that will not fail, and a perfect king will reign, one who is perfectly just and righteous. This vision of a future kingdom motivates believers to live as citizens of that kingdom here and now. It encourages them to pursue justice, peace, and righteousness in their own lives and communities, offering a foretaste of the world to come. It is a reminder that the current struggles and injustices are not the final word. The prophecy of the elect one and his eternal kingdom is the ultimate promise that history is heading towards a glorious restoration. It assures us that a new world is coming as described in the Book of Revelation, where God will dwell with humanity, and there will be no more tears, death, or pain, for the old order of things will have passed away. The Book of Enoch offers a special word of comfort and promise to those who remain faithful in times of darkness. It prophesies that while wickedness may seem to triumph for a time, the righteous are never forgotten. Enoch states that the names of the righteous are written before the glory of the Great One, and that a day is coming when their faithfulness will be revealed to all. He promises that a light of righteousness shall shine upon you, and that they will be brought forth from the shadows into glorious light. This is a prophecy about the ultimate vindication of those who hold on to their faith, even when they are persecuted, ignored, or hidden from the world's view. This beautiful promise is a consistent theme throughout the Bible. The prophet Malachi speaks of God keeping a scroll of remembrance for those who fear him, calling them his treasured possession who will be revealed on the day of judgment. Jesus himself taught this principle, stating in the Gospel of Matthew that there is nothing concealed that will not be revealed, or hidden that will not be made known. The Apostle Paul builds on this, promising in Colossians that when Christ, who is our life, appears, then you also will appear with him in glory. This is the great hope of the faithful, that their secret devotion, their quiet acts of kindness, and their steadfast belief will one day be openly honored by God himself. In our modern world, this prophecy has a powerful and immediate application. We know that in many nations across the globe, believers are forced to practice their faith in secret. They gather in underground churches, risking imprisonment, persecution, or even death for their beliefs. They are the hidden righteous of our time, their names unknown to the world but precious to God. This prophecy also speaks to anyone who feels isolated or alone in their faith, who may be struggling to live righteously in a family, workplace, or culture that is hostile to their values. It is a promise that their struggle is seen, their faithfulness is recorded, and a day of public vindication is coming. Enoch's vision of the revealed righteous is a profound encouragement to persevere. It tells us that our efforts are not in vain, even when they seem to go unnoticed. It assures the faithful that their identity is not defined by the world's approval, but by their standing before God. This prophecy inspires courage and endurance, reminding believers that they are part of a great unseen company of saints throughout history. It is a promise that, on the final day, those who have been hidden, overlooked, or oppressed will shine like the stars, their quiet faithfulness revealed as a source of eternal glory before all of heaven and earth. While Enoch prophesies a judgment of fire, he also presents it as a fire of purification and renewal, not just utter destruction. After the period of judgment, he foresees a week of righteousness where the old, corrupted world passes away, and a new, purified creation emerges. He speaks of a time when the works of sin shall perish from the earth, and all creation shall be purified with fire. This is not an ending but a new beginning. It is the burning away of all that is evil, unjust, and impure, to make way for a restored heaven and a restored earth, where righteousness can finally dwell in peace and perfection. This concept of a purifying fire is central to biblical theology. The prophet Malachi compares the coming of the Lord to a refiner's fire, which burns away impurities to leave pure gold and silver behind. The Apostle Paul in 1 Corinthians explains that each person's life work will be tested by fire on the day of judgment, and only what is of genuine, lasting value will survive. The Apostle Peter gives the most vivid description, saying the heavens will pass away with a roar, and the elements will be destroyed by fire. but then he immediately adds that we are looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth, where righteousness dwells. The fire is not the end of the story, it is the necessary process to begin the story anew. In our modern context, the idea of purification can be understood on both a personal and a global scale. On a personal level, life's trials and hardships can often feel like a refiner's fire, burning away our pride, selfishness, and dependence on fleeting things, leaving behind a stronger, more genuine faith. On a global scale, the crises we face, be they environmental, social, or political, can be seen as events that expose the deep flaws and impurities in our systems. They force us to confront the unsustainable and unjust aspects of our world, highlighting the desperate need for a fundamental renewal that goes far beyond what human efforts can achieve. Enoch's prophecy of a cleansing fire, therefore, ultimately transforms a message of judgment into a message of profound hope. It assures us that the brokenness of our current world is not the final reality. God's plan is not simply to punish, but to purify, not just to destroy, but to remake. This vision encourages us to look beyond the present turmoil and anticipate a future where all things are made new. It is the ultimate promise of redemption, where the fire of judgment serves as the crucible from which a perfect, eternal, and righteous world will be born, free from the stain of sin and sorrow forever. The prophecies of Enoch, though written thousands of years ago, speak with a surprising clarity to our 21st century world. They are more than just fascinating relics of ancient literature. They are a living testament to the timeless struggle between good and evil, and the enduring hope for divine redemption. From the solemn promise of the Lord's return with his saints to the chilling vision of a great spiritual falling away, Enoch's words paint a picture that feels incredibly relevant. His warnings about forbidden knowledge and the judgment of fire resonate in our age of unchecked technological advancement and global instability. These ancient prophecies provide a unique lens through which to view our times. They connect the dots between the mysterious verses of Genesis, the direct warnings of the apostles, and the headlines we read every day. By exploring Enoch's visions, we are reminded that our current struggles are not new. The challenges of apostasy, corruption, and the misuse of power are part of a long-standing cosmic drama. Yet, woven through all the dire warnings is a powerful thread of hope. The promise of the elect one, the vindication of the righteous, and the ultimate purification of creation into a new heaven and a new earth. What we learn from Enoch is not a roadmap for predicting the future, but a moral and spiritual compass for navigating the present. His prophecies call us to live with awareness, integrity, and courage. They challenge us to hold fast to faith when the world is drifting, to pursue wisdom over mere knowledge, and to live as citizens of a coming kingdom of righteousness. They remind us that every life has meaning and that every act of faithfulness is seen and recorded by a God who is both just and merciful, a God who has a plan to make all things new. In the end, the voice of Enoch echoes today because it speaks to the deepest questions of the human heart. It addresses our anxieties about the future while grounding us in the hope of a glorious destiny. It warns of judgment, but ultimately points toward renewal. Listening to these ancient whispers reminds us that we are part of a story much larger than ourselves, a story that did not begin with us, and will not end in chaos, but will find its perfect conclusion in the triumph of light, life, and everlasting love.